Caleb Wakhungu, my name's. I come from Uganda, and Uganda is a very small country in East Africa with the population of over 35 million people. It's a huge population. And I'll tell you a little bit about how I came to fall in love with the narrative therapy. This was 2005 when I was invited to attend a training in Zimbabwe, and that training was facilitated by Michael White, Sharo and David. Narrative ideas sounded to be, very serious ideas that seriously changed my life. And from there straight, I really fell in love with it. I took narrative ideas as a partner in my work, and straight away introduced this in my community. So the community welcomed the narrative therapy with the open arms. So this led to the birth of a community organization called Mount Elgon Self-Help Community Project. Since 2005, Mount Elgon Self-Help Community Project has helped tens of thousands of disadvantaged rural people in eastern Uganda to come together, support one another, and steadily grow their communities. Our approach combines narrative therapy with practical development initiatives. This enables individuals to develop a sense of belonging, hope, and empowerment as they work together to learn new skills to make themselves, their families, and their communities socially and economically self-sufficient. We help orphans and vulnerable children, youth, women, overburdened caregivers, and disadvantaged families made vulnerable by poverty, conflict, disease, environmental degradation, and traumas of the past, to improve their lives and community through projects that promote personal development, personal empowerment, self-sufficient development, and long-term sustainability of our environment. Uganda, as a developing nation, is just recovering from the effect of wars. We've had wars for decades, and a number of you could be aware of wars with Amin, where lots of people were killed, and also the recent wars that ended with Konyi, that was, that killed many lives of people in northern part of the country, and rendering many of them homeless. We're also recovering from the effects of the landslides that happen mainly in the areas where we are operating. In 2001, we lost over 350 people and property as a result of the landslides. And we are also challenged with the widespread poverty, social strife, and increasing fragile and unpredictable environment. Okay. So my presentation will be more focusing mainly around linking community, therapy, and development. So as I've already hinted, that Uganda is experiencing difficult times, and is just getting out, going through the healing process, and is really has gone through difficult times where we've experienced war, we've experienced effects of HIV, where we have had many of the young people who are orphaned, and very many of them are leading child-headed households, and quite a number of living the elder caretakers who are taking care of the young ones. We also have rampant family breakdowns and child abuse and exploitation. So we're also struggling with the access to safe and drinking water, gas and electricity, roads and infrastructure, education opportunities, and employment opportunities. and we are under the constant threat of natural disasters such as the landslides, environmental degradation, climate change, marginalization of rural society, and hopelessness. So these are some of the problems that really surround our communities. And this kind of leads us to, having a number of questions that we really sometimes challenge ourselves with. And some of these questions are, how do we, link community, therapy, and development in ways that can actually help us, go through the processes of healing, even as we have gone through difficult times in the past. And also other question is, we also ask ourselves, how do we, respond to these multiple challenges in ways that are honoring and respectful of, individuals, values and skills that they have. And also, how do we live in harmony with the environment in cases where we have had landslides and that are attributed to massive, destruction of, trees and so on, and at the end, we are really affected. So we also ask questions in terms of how can we be able to unlock the hidden potentials that are within our people that can make, possible for things to happen or for change. And also, how can we involve the young people in meeting their own needs within these communities where we are living? Because we have had a case where we have over half of the population that is young, below the age of 18, and most of these children are out, a number of them are out of the school, and majority are struggling with life in the rural areas. So we want to find ways of how we can be able to involve them to actively participate in meeting their needs. And how can we be able to do this sustainably? So our questions are mainly, within our solutions that we've come up with as individuals and as communities. But before we look at the solutions that we are really coming, practical solutions that we are deploying to deal with the challenges that we are facing with, I want to share with you our approach. Our approach is, enabling people to get together. And for this very reason, we believe that, thank you, David. For this reason, we believe that people have, different ways in which they respond to the problems. That they are not passive, recipients of trauma, but in one way or the other, they respond to, their traumatic events. And their responses are in number unique, and some of these responses are not recognized or kind of familiar with the people in terms of how they respond. So we want to get people together so that we have processes where we can be able to talk about, the life experiences. And here we really try to bring these, skills that individuals are displaying or are applying in terms of responding to different, challenges that they face in their own lives. And we'll help them to link these particular responses or skills to, their histories and make sense out of this in terms of, bringing the skills and to the forefront. And also we go ahead to find avenues where we can actually be able to inspire people to start actions that are geared towards, responding to their challenges in life. Because we feel, we find this very interesting within our own context, that talking about the problem and also exploring different opportunities how individuals are responding is not just enough. Because we really find that when people are struggling with life, especially those who are taking care of the children, they have a lot of burden in terms of feeding them, in terms of taking them to school. But just talking about the values that, linking these conversations to the values that they have, and we leave it at that, sometimes people continue to struggle with life. But we try as much as possible to, put avenues where they can actually be able to take actions that are geared towards meeting a particular goal in their life. So, our solutions. When we look at the issue of poverty within our own context, it had hit the community so much that everyone was almost at risk, especially the caretakers and the children themselves, and also things that were happening around the family. But, there were agencies that were bringing support to these families, and some of them, and a majority of them did not have access to support from either the government or agencies. But they were really struggling with life. So we wanted to find ways of how we can actually motivate, encourage, and inspire these families to be able to come out and do something that is geared towards meeting their needs in life. Because at times when in the platform we get to let individuals understand that if you look all the sides, you don't see anyone, but you are the only one who is in this particular community. What are some of the skills that this particular individual has that is going to bring on the table that can actually help him to respond to the challenges that they have? So we started with groups of women getting together in 15 in number, and starting to talk about life, and also starting to engage in initiatives that are geared towards meeting their own goals in life. So they started small projects, and these projects were supported by Mount Elgon Self-Help Community Project together with the different partners. And these groups, expanded from 30 originally to now 500 groups. So we have individuals now that engage productively in businesses. For us, what we believe is that if we are bringing 10 people together, then those are 10 responses. And these 10 responses, once we explore them deeply, they kind of get to the level where they're getting to an action to do something. We are looking at the 10 projects now. So each of these particular individuals is challenged to think about a project that can actually be able to respond directly to his or her need. So as Mount Elgon Project, we provide a pool of funds where individuals who have no access to a collateral security to go to the bank can have this access to these funds and use them in their own businesses. We have women that have skills in business. We have, they have relationships that they can be able to tap into, and they have the time that they can actually be able to spend in terms of enabling them to reach their own goals. This becomes a little bit easier because people are using their own times, they are using their own resources, they are using their own skills in ways that become much more useful to them. So much of the story now around their lives is not about us as the organization, but the skills that they are bringing together to be able to make things work for themselves. We also experience landslide yearly, especially around March. And each time that it clocks March, there are worries, because these hills sometimes are swept off. Like 2011, we lost 350 people. And 2012, we lost over 45. But these losses are really great. They are really not good to us. And we don't want this to repeat. So other than going through processes of healing where people talk about loss and get back into normal life, we challenge ourselves in terms of what is it that we can do that can make us live in harmony with our environment, so that in future when we have heavy rains, we are not swept away by these mudslides, because they are not good really. So we devise ways of how we can be able to reduce on the pressure that is exerted on the forests within the Mount Elgon region. And one of the solutions that we thought together with the community was building the biogas digesters that use the animal dung to be able to cook. So that now families now turn from the trees now to now cooking using the cow dung, which is much available within the community. So each year our plan is to construct 100 biogas digesters that people can be able to use for cooking. We see other benefits that come with the biogas as we involve in this particular project, where people are using the biocircular to be able to boost on their productivity in their gardens, and also in ways that women are really, have been struggling a lot, spending a lot of time looking for firewood, and also spending more than 12 hours cooking. We see this that is reduced to around 4 hours in a day, which we believe a woman can actually have some time to rest and also engage in support groups that can be able to be of help. We also thought about how do we use the sun in ways that, can benefit us, because we have a lot of sun. And we started making our own solar panels that provide the light and also for gadgets like charging the telephone handsets, the computers and so on, because this is a rural community that does not have electricity. But we are wondering what we could do within our own limit to be able to bring about the difference. And one thing that stood out for me in this particular project is that, in 2011, International Labour Organization recognized our organized Mount Elgon for the contribution that it's doing in terms of bringing the light to the people in the rural areas. And what struck me most was that these solar panels are made by people, ordinary people, boys and girls who have never gone so far in education, but when they meet together, they can be able to do something that individuals within, other individuals are not doing in the country. We were challenged so much recently when we were in the conversation with the university and wondering if a rural person who has never been even to the diploma level can be able to practically, produce a panel within one day that can be able to last for over 45 years. Where is the, what does the education have this answer to the challenges that our people within the community are really facing? So those were partly, moving experiences and conversation around ordinary people coming up to do things that we could not think it would not be possible. And when we trace where this is coming from, you really make lots of connections in terms of individuals' values and skills that they have learned from different people and in their own families. We also embarked on the process of building the wells to provide safe water for the community, because we realized that water is a problem and very many of the people are really have waterborne diseases. And we want to have a community that is healthy, a community that is free to be able to actively engage in community work. And we started a process where people mobilize materials and we build the wells that will make it possible for people to have access to safe and clean water. And with the children and the young people, we realized that in most cases people are talking about the rights of the children, but in the context where we are working, families are really extremely poor. And sometimes they might not be able to afford the education of these particular children and also other basic necessities. So one of our questions was, how can we make the young people be much more active in responding to their needs in life? So we mobilized them into groups and to be able to learn the skills and also be able to share the knowledge with each other, and also inspired them to start off some simple projects that can be geared towards meeting a particular goal in life. It might be maybe towards the food, to contribution towards the food to the family, or contribution towards the scholastic materials for them to be able to continue with the school. We really found this was very helpful and changing, because before there were differences between the children and the adults. Children were demanding their rights and they did not know or understand about their responsibilities. But this kind of creates a platform where children can directly engage in conversation around what is it that I can do as a child that can, make life better for me and better for other people. And we began with the groups of 5 groups, and now we have 30 groups and reaching over 700 young people. And each of these young people have small projects that they are running, projects that they have initiated themselves, and projects that they are taking part in, seeing them develop. But also they see benefits that come out of this project that is directly going into meeting their own needs and the needs of their families. I was impressed with this particular child that started with the hens, and 1 year later he was able to buy the goat, and he has now 3 cows that he's owning, and these 3 cows is getting the milk from the cows. They are taken care of by the grandparent, and when they sell this milk, this child is able to get some tuition from this milk to go to school, and is now in senior 3. But we have one also that started with the doves, and he has the 7 cows. I couldn't believe this. This has kind of brought the children and the caretakers together, just to appreciate that there is a contribution that the children can as well be able to make in their own lives, and to appreciate even the contribution that the caretakers and the wishes that the caretakers have for their own children. Okay. So our work is mainly around, finding it possible to link the community, therapy, and development, because we really feel that these 3 move together, and that they work together as, not inseparable. Because when we move people to a level where they can be able to talk about, engage directly, talking about their dreams, talking about their responses, we dig the history of those responses, and we ask them what that means for them, and how do they see their future. It's like we are now throwing them into the future to start thinking about 2, 3, 4, 5 years to come. Where do I want to be? And we don't leave them to move that walk alone. We want to move together.